All right, 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 all right. Now, fellas, yeah. All right, why do we start off with some hey ya? Hey ya, hey ya. So we're gonna do our bold 2026 AEW year predictions. We're gonna start off hot. We're gonna start off with what everybody predicts is gonna happen, and that is William Ospreay will defeat MJF at All In Wembley to become the new AEW champion. All In is in Wembley. You gotta do it. We've been putting it off for a year, but Will gotta finish his damn story. Hopefully he can come back in time, recover in time to win the Owen and win the AEW championship in his home country in Wembley at the biggest pay-per-view of the year. However, that's not really my prediction. My prediction is he will not end the year as champion. But we'll get to that later in the video. Next, we have Athena turns on Mercedes Moné, which leads her to winning the AEW Women's Championship. Now, in my eyes, we all see the downfall. I'm going down. I'm going down. When you been around, baby, my whole world's upside down. Which actually is fun. I'm kind of surprised Stranger Things did not use I'm going down. Anyway, child, we'll do a Stranger Things video later. Yeah, I think Athena and Mercedes has this mutual respect. They have like this little mini tag team faction going on. I think Athena and Mercedes are going to be in like a fatal four-way triple threat type of match for the AEW Championship. Athena knows how much this world title means to Mercedes. She's been losing all her belts, but Athena sees the opportunity to take advantage of Mercedes taking out whoever the champion is. Athena then takes out Mercedes and becomes your new AEW World Champion. I think, again, this is going to lead to a bigger downfall for Mercedes, that the girl that was supposed to be a home girl, her girlfriend, her sis, now is able to win the world title, and she still can't, and then also turn on her. I mean, that's just crazy. I think that's going to happen because I see Mercedes not winning the Owen. We don't need repeat winners. We don't need to do that. I think instead, my bold prediction is Mercedes is going to win the All-In Casino Gauntlet match. Yes, I see Mercedes winning the All-In Casino Gauntlet match as a babyface. Yes, so by the time we get to All In, I'm predicting not only that Mercedes is going to win the Gauntlet match, but she's going to win it as a babyface because she has damn near lost all her belts. She has been on a struggle bus for damn near 2 years, going on 3, trying to become AEW Women's Champion and just can't get right. Speaking of just can't get right, Edge's whole freaking run in AEW. No. After Edge and Christian become the AEW Tag Team Champions, I think it's going to happen. That's not really a bold prediction. I think it has to happen. Edge and Christian, Adam Copeland and Christian will become AEW World Tag Team Champions. However, by the end of the year, Adam Copeland will retire from AEW. I don't think he's going to retire for wrestling. I think Adam Copeland is going to retire from AEW. Because I think really Edge only came back because he wanted. I think Edge only went to AEW truly so that he can be booked on a consistent basis. It still boggles my mind that WWE didn't want to use Edge, who is one of your biggest stars, like ever. Like, why did they not never want to use Edge? I just cannot figure that out for the life of me. And so he wanted to actually wrestle on a consistent basis. And I think he wanted to finish his story of finally teaming with Christian one final time. I think that really was probably the biggest thing for him. So once Edge teams with Christian, wins the tag team titles one final time, I think Adam Copeland is going to call it a career and probably come back to WWE one last time, maybe have one big final match and retire. Now, on a less sour note, I think one of the greatest characters in wrestling right now, Thomas Tony Storm, will unlock a new character. I think Tony Storm is a very creative mind, as we've seen with what she's done over the past few years with the Thomas Tony Storm character. I do think, just like we've seen with Chris Jericho, Mick Foley with the Three Faces of Foley, with The Undertaker, over time, your creatives, your people that have a mind for the business, always gonna want to evolve. And I think, I don't know, I just have a feeling that Tony Storm is not gonna want to just be timeless for all of 2026. I think she's going to want to do something new and different, kind of like what she did in 2024 going into 2025. She went back to her old school character. I think this time she's going to do something even different from that. I'm calling it right now. We're going to unlock a new character, especially with her being with Orange Cassidy. Maybe we'll get cool Tony Storm. I don't know. I just think we're going to get unlock a new character for Tony Storm in 2026. Now, speaking of new, I think we're going to have a new manager for Ricochet sometime in late 2026. And that is none other than Samantha Irvine. Samantha Irvine, who, if you don't know, I think, is she still called Samantha Irvine, or is she just Samantha the Bomb now? I'm not sure, but Samantha Irvine, who was an announcer for WWE for a couple years, and we all loved her for it until she left, and now half the internet thinks she's the worst person ever because, you know, you don't really like women, especially black women like that. But anyway, I think Samantha Irvine is going to finally come to AEW and not be an announcer, because she said that she wanted to be more than an announcer, but she's going to be an actual manager. And maybe not for Ricochet, but she is going to come to AEW to play a role that isn't announcing. I'm going to predict that for sure when her WWE contract comes up in late 2026. However, I do think we're going to get at least one big debut as a wrestler in AEW, and I don't think really anybody else makes sense other than Shinsuke Nakamura. I really do think Shinsuke Nakamura is probably either going to ask for his release, or they're going to let Shinsuke's contract expire like they did R-Truth last year. And Nakamura is finally going to go to AEW, do the collab, maybe even debut at Forbidden Door, and get back to New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. And it's going to be this thing to where we don't know what side is he on. Is he on New Japan side? Is he on AEW side? Like, kind of tell that story. I think somehow we're going to get that in 2026. Shinsuke Nakamura debuting in AEW. Now, this may be my boldest of bold predictions, but I'm going to predict that AEW is going to remove one belt from their promotion. Yes, Tony Khan is going to remove one belt from his promotion, which goes into my next prediction. I think AEW Collision is probably going to get canceled this year. I don't know. There's just no motion like for AEW Collision. Like, I don't know how it's still on the air. It's like I can't see TNT going another year with AEW Collision when it was a whole vehicle solely for CM Punk, who's one of the biggest stars in professional wrestling history. That was the purpose of it. And the fact that it has lasted basically 4 years post CM Punk is remarkable, but I can't see TNT sticking with AEW Collision. I just can't see it, especially with streaming and all these networks are now collaborating and being taken over. And I think this is the final year for AEW Collision. I think we're just going to be left with Dynamite, and Dynamite is probably going to be like a 3-hour show. I'm calling it. It's going to be like old school WCW Nitro when they only had Nitro without Thunder, and that's what we're going to be left with. I just have a feeling, man. Just people just are not watching Collision. So yeah, we're going to lose the TNT title because AEW Collision will be canceled. Which leads us to the very beginning of this video where I said that Ospreay will not end the year as AEW champion. Because I believe somehow, some way, Okada is going to defeat Ospreay to become the new AEW champion, whether that's at Full Gear or at World's End or on Dynamite. I just have a feeling Okada is finally going to get that brass ring, finally going to become AEW World Champion and become your new big bad for your top babyface, whoever that will be, to chase, to defeat. But I'm calling it, I just feel like Okada has to get one run with the world title. And I feel like Ospreay doesn't need a long title reign. He'll be fine for like 4, maybe 5 months. But then at the very end of the year, Okada is going to win that title. There is no way, there is absolutely no way that in 2026, Mercedes Moné does not become AEW Women's World Champion. It has to happen. It's your biggest story in the women's division right now. Like, after she loses all her belts, she loses in like the finals of the Owen, Athena turns on her, or she doesn't win the Owen, she wins the Casino Gauntlet match, and then you have the story of her deciding, does she only give the champion at the time only a week to prepare for the title match, or does she try to win it straight up by giving the women's world champion at least a month's time to prepare? I think that's a story you do, especially with Mercedes being a heel but transitioning into a baby face. You kind of tell that complex story of the seesaw that Mercedes Moné is on to eventually decide at like Full Gear that this is the time. I'm going to let my opponent know way in advance. I want you to be ready because I'm going to be in my best like I've never been before. And she finally wins at like Full Gear and is your women's AEW World Champion, and the whole crowd goes crazy for it. Maybe even do it in Boston, which I think would be dope for her. I think that you gotta do that. Like, this is your biggest story, and Mercedes finishes her story and becomes AEW World Champion. No longer the belt collector, but now she has won the ultimate belt. And those are my bold predictions for AEW for 2026. Let me know yours. Like, comment, subscribe, share all the things. Welcome to the high, bitch. If you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. Suck it.